Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Feldhouse. For those who did not join us the last couple iterations of this, I am excited to be the new director of DAV Patriot Boot Camp. I'm a veteran myself with over a decade of social service experience and my own startup fitness ventures under my belt. I'm today's host for Caffeine Connect, our monthly series where founders and business leaders share their stories, insights, and expertise. Join us for real talk, actionable advice, and inspiration to fuel your business journey. From startup struggles to success strategies, Caffeine Connect will be your go-to source for veteran-led entrepreneurship. Tune in and get connected. We're joined today by Jeff Bevis, a previous mentor and great friend to DAV Patriot Boot Camp. After my brief introduction, Jeff will take the lead. I invite you to pop any questions you have into the Q&A feature on the toolbar, or you can post those on our socials, and we'll make sure to save plenty of time for Q&A at the end. Let's get into it. With a business career that has stretched over 3 decades, wow, in franchise and entrepreneurial environments, Jeff has built, rebuilt, or enhanced 7 different brands across 5 different service industries. He has given key guidance and support to over 900 new entrepreneurs in his career to date. He is currently leading a consulting practice where he works with brands for new growth and transformation. Jeff, you sound like the perfect person to lead this conversation, and I'm so excited. Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. Well, Matt, thanks for having me. And I appreciate the opportunity to always work with everybody at DAV. We want to talk today about the purpose of a business plan and how a business plan can really help. Um, as you mentioned, Matt, I have had quite a bit of experience across the franchising space, but also just for the listeners or participants today, have been very involved in independent businesses too. So hopefully the lessons here or the information we share will apply to both franchise or independent businesses.
Awesome.
So some keys to our call. I want to talk about reasons why a sound plan is vital to your success and a lot of the benefits for building a business plan. We'll talk about what goes into a business plan. In many cases, there's not a perfect rule here. It needs to be customized for your respective business or industry. We'll also talk about both the internal and external ways to leverage a plan. I think a lot of this folks either seem to overlook or are not aware of, that there's a lot of great reasons why a business plan or how a business plan can really help you in the long term as well as the short term. We'll also talk about some examples and templates for building your business plan, again, no matter what industry you're in. And then also some resources to help you create a business plan or get advice or guidance. And then, as you mentioned, some open Q&A at the end. And also, Matt, as you mentioned, we're glad to take questions as we go. So I'll stop every couple slides. So why is a business plan vital to your success? Well, there are some solid data and studies that back this up. Entrepreneurs with business plans are 260% more likely to launch, first of all, with a business plan. And then if you have a plan, your increase of growth are over 30%. And then lastly, over 70% of businesses that survive 5 years or longer follow a strategic business plan. So, sort of the odds are on your side, data's on your side, a good reason why a business plan can be vital to the success of your business, again, no matter what service or product or industry you're thinking about. So when's the right time? Ideally, to create your business plan, of course, is in the beginning before you really even launch. But just know that there's no one size fits all here. That a lot of times, even if you're already an existing business owner and you've been in business for 1, 3, 5, 7 years, and you don't have a plan, certainly good for you to think about putting a plan together now. It's very important to think about the industry competition, market factors, your biggest challenges, your biggest opportunities. Again, there's no right or wrong answer of what should go in a business plan or what should not go in a business plan. You need to make sure that it works best for you. But usually the more detail you can put in, then the much more effective it can be for you. It also helps you, of course, once you do your business plan, to continue updating your actual results versus plan on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual basis, not only for you, but also for your employees. Whether you have 2 or 102 employees, having a business plan, having goals that can align your organization can be a major plus too. So just know that you can build your plan at any time. It's ideal probably to do it before you launch, but don't feel like you've failed or that you can't do one now if you've already been in business for some period of time. So what should go into your plan? So typically you want to provide an overview first, what the business is focused on, the purpose of your business, kind of mission, vision, overview, and then also get into a summary of what service or product your business is going to provide, and have a special focus on differentiation. Now, we're going to touch on lending a little bit later, but especially if you're going to a bank or have outside partners, many of them will want to see what sets you apart, what makes your company different. So that market differentiation factor and competition survey, or as much as you know about your competitors, can be very helpful too. You'll of course have your financial projections. This is typically on an annual basis, maybe by month, but for the first 1, 3, could be even the first 5 years. Again, there's no one size fits all there. I mean, most often you see a 3-year business plan coming out of the gate. It also needs to include the marketing component and the staffing component. Now, these are two pieces that oftentimes people don't think about or don't include. A marketing plan, of course, just helps show and explain the tactics that you are going to take, going to market with your product or service. And again, the more detail you can show there with your tactics, the better. So are we going to be leveraging a website? We're going to be leveraging online search engine optimization or pay per click. Is there some type of print advertising? Is there some type of podcast? So you want to make sure that all that type of detail is in your marketing plan, again, on a monthly and annual basis. Same thing goes on the staffing and recruiting side. Now, again, if you're a small startup and you're the one and only employee, maybe this is not as important up front, but it still needs to be a factor, because as you grow and add employees or add staffing, and especially if your business is very labor intensive, this will be a component, the staffing plan and recruiting plan, that you want to make sure is in your overall business plan. And this would give you the tactics there of job postings, timing, sources, where you're going to be looking for your employees. So don't overlook the staffing or recruiting component. That can be a game changer. The more detail and advanced data you have in your plan, the better. So as I mentioned before, don't feel like it has to have minimal data or has to have tremendous data. Just make it work for you, customize it for your business, your industry, your sector. And again, most importantly, that it's helpful to guide you and your business and your team for future success. Before I go to leveraging, let me stop there a moment, Matt, and see if there's any questions so far.
So far, I think we're good to go. I'm following along. I'm tracking. I got my notebook out, so I think we're good to go. Keep chugging along, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so from the leverage standpoint, this is where we're going to break the leverage of a business plan into external and internal. External meaning, if you do think or you plan to go to a bank or have a lending source for some type of a business loan, they are absolutely going to be requiring a detailed business plan. Sometimes they'll have their own template, Oftentimes, if you already have yours established, they'll accept what you have as long as you have their core requirements in there. If you're considering any type of future partnership or taking on partners in the very beginning, that's oftentimes a way a business plan can kind of level the playing field so that you and any and all partners that you have, whether those are individuals or other organizations, can all have insight into the same exact data. So it helps reduce any confusion and helps with your overall clarity. It does build credibility, again, especially from a banking or lending standpoint, but also if you have potential clients. I had a quick example I wanted to mention here, a business that I built about 7 years ago. We had an opportunity to get a national agreement with Wells Fargo Life Care Services. Part of getting that agreement, a condition, was providing our 3-year business plan. So we won that contract, but a big part of the reason we won it was because we had a very well-established business plan overall. So just don't lose sight of what a business plan can do for you externally, not just on the lending or partnership side, but also for future major clients. And then lastly, the exit strategy. Now, this is a bit of a confusing factor. A lot of folks think, hey, I'm just thinking about starting a business. Why would I even think about an exit strategy? But any entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur starting a business should realistically at least have an exit strategy or an idea of how he or she wants to exit, when you want to exit, how you want to exit. Do you want to build the business and sell it to your kids or turn it over to your kids? Do you want to sell it to a competitor? Do you want to put it on the market and sell private equity? There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't at least have an idea. And this doesn't have to be a firm, detailed plan, but have an idea of what your exit strategy will in fact be. When it is time for you to exit the business, you will want to make sure that you have a very well-detailed, not only business plan at that point, but ideally having your actual results versus your business plan every single year. That will typically add to the value of your business. And many business brokers or people that are involved, merger and acquisition folks, will all tell you that a sound business plan with solid financial projections and results tracking will increase the value of your business overall. So with internal, that's where it becomes helpful for you to align with your employees and with your team. That's helping you track the progress weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually of how you're doing with your actual results versus business plan. Communicating that to your team, whether it's your small executive leadership team or your entire organization, again, can really help with alignment. It may even help drill into individual goals for team members or departments within your organization overall too. So don't underestimate the power of the business plan internally to keep your team aware of how you're tracking versus your projections. And it gives you a history overall. So if you do exit in 5-10 years down the line, and you've had a business plan every year and then actual results, that can really show you many things and how you've projected accurately or maybe missed certain challenges or missed certain opportunities. It can also help you scale. If you're the type of business where you expect to have future outlets or future offices or more offices in more cities or more states, having a scalable business plan template that is the same and consistent office by office, location by location, can be a major plus to you as well. It also will give you trend analysis, as I mentioned before, so you can look back on past business plans versus actual results and see how accurate your projections have in fact been. It is very helpful in looking at competition. Most businesses, it's recommended that you do a competitive survey on an annual basis, not necessarily looking at 100 competitors, but at least looking at your top 5, 6, 10. And oftentimes that competition market survey will show ways that you differentiate, especially if you have the data to back up those points of differentiation. So the internal reasons, again, will help you as much as the external, but you really want to try to put the business plan into place so that you can leverage both. So where can you find templates or assistance? Matt and the folks at the DAV Patriot Boot Camp are working to have business plan templates as resources for you soon. You could also go to your local VBOC, your Veteran Business Outreach Center, or your SBDC, your Small Business Development Center. Your local Chamber of Commerce oftentimes has great templates and can give assistance as well. And many of you may have heard of SCORE, which is an acronym for Service Corps of Retired Executives. Still very, very prominent in over 300 chapters across the country. SCORE gives free advice, and most of the folks at your local VBOC or SBDC will give you free guidance and advice too in building your business plan, questions, answers, and additional guidance. Let me stop there, Matt, and check if there's any questions.
Yeah, we do actually have a question, Jeff. So one of the questions is asking about, do you know of any resources for mentors that might assist with developing a business plan or just throughout the business process, besides obviously at DAV Patriot Boot Camp? For the boot camp itself, we bring in a great team of mentors. Jeff, you've often been included. But yeah, outside of that, do you know of any resources for business mentors?
Yeah, probably SCORE would be the first one I would recommend and would
Yeah.
look up. That's a great one. And again, kind of a little bit of a veiled description there, but SCORE is a whole layer of retired executives from big and small business around the world, and that's all free advice. So I would definitely start with SCORE. Your local chamber would also be a strong option. And then thirdly, I would also look at a local small business incubator in my city. Those are three great sources. So some resources we have provided for you here. I've tried to give you examples and really the link to go to each of these respective websites. The SSBA is kind of the granddaddy of business planning overall. They have a lot of helpful links. So the website here that I've listed is one for you, as well as the website for SCORE, for VBOC overall, the Veteran Business Outreach Centers, and the SBDC. So in each of these cases, you can go to these sites and look up and find the nearest location or office in your respective area. We also wanted to provide you with a couple templates. So this is a sample template here, the link to that site. And there's also one that is specific to a veteran starting a business. This is, again, specifically a veteran business plan. Doesn't matter the service or the product, but thought that would be a helpful source for you too. There are many, many templates out there, by the way. These are just a couple examples. And I did also want to provide, we don't have time it allows here, but after the call, if you want to take a look, this is an actual business plan for the home care industry that I had created and led. So I wanted to give you an actual example, or you could follow up and take a look if you'd like. So just in summary, to recap our call, we talked through reasons why a sound plan is vital to your success. Not only is it statistically valid and the odds are in your favor, and it gives you a tremendous number of benefits and strengths as you start to open your business or launch your business. What goes into your plan, the ingredients, again, make it yours, customize it to your business, but you want to specifically make sure you include financial projections, marketing plan, recruiting and staffing plan, points of differentiation, competitive analysis, your respective market, and an overview of your business overall. Some folks even include short bios, not only of yourself, but also maybe your leadership team. We talked about internal and external ways and reasons to leverage your plan. Once you have the plan done, that's really just when the fun starts, because then you can really leverage it to your internal team, as we mentioned, to help build and maintain alignment, but also externally, whether it be for a bank or a lending source, partnerships, or potential national contracts. We provide you with some plan examples and templates, and also resources of where to go to get additional help, guidance, mentoring, to help you build a successful business plan overall. So at this point, what questions do you have that we could share and help you further with building a business plan to fuel your success?
Jeff, we got a couple questions here I can tee up. So one was from LinkedIn. So Tyrone Jackson asked, how can you maintain your business integrity if competitors are using potentially illegal or underhanded tactics? Just curious if you had any thoughts regarding, some of those strategies or just upholding that integrity.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I would say no matter what the industry is, all industries have some form of kind of a whistleblower or regulatory reporting. That would be the first place I would start. If you see a competitor that's doing things illegally, you can make an anonymous complaint or post with that regulatory entity. I'm never a big fan of calling out that competitor, even though they may be doing something, again, illegal and unethical. The way I would combat that is I would try to tilt my marketing without mentioning the company name, but tilt my marketing that, the other guys do this, this, and this. We do that. There's a way to set yourself apart and kind of elevate your brand versus a competitor that maybe is not doing it as well as you.
Yeah, Roger that. I really like that. And I love that you gave us, actual templates and actionable advice as well, which just wanted to say that we can get that stuff information out as well. So if you get a PDF or send us those links, we're happy to share those out to anyone viewing. So in case you're like, oh no, I want those templates, we'll make sure to get that stuff to you. I have another question here from Christopher McCoy. So he was just accepted into an MBA program. Congratulations, by the way.
Wow.
Specifically around IT management. He is also building a consulting company that focuses on cybersecurity and information security for more rural and smaller businesses. He is curious, how can he leverage his master's in cybersecurity while still attending business school? Is there some strategies that he can kind of utilize some of his past experiences to get the most out of that education?
Yes, absolutely. I would suggest that he does a couple things. One, he makes that very prominent in his bio, that he has on his website. So in the about us or leadership team of the company that he's creating, really highlight that. Secondly, he could create or kind of position himself as a thought leader in his industry on LinkedIn or social media, and be able to leverage that background, and his experience that way even more prominently too.
Yeah, that's really good idea. And if writing is a strength, there's always the ability to write, engaging articles. You can, reach out to what are those called? Op-eds for newspapers. You can write, blogs. There's a lot of opportunities you can do to, flex those specialty skills as well.
Yeah, and one more I would add there too, Matt. You're exactly right. Is podcasts are really popular. I shouldn't say all of us, but many of us are listening to multiple podcasts, every day, every week.
Right.
He should think about reaching out to some of the main podcast creators and generators in his industry sector and get on those podcasts. That would help him out of the gate as well.
Yeah, I like that. And it made me think of something else, Jeff. So where would a new aspiring vetrepreneur find all the data to build this business plan that we know is so important, but how do you find all that critical information?
Yeah, it used to be a lot tougher, quite honestly. And one thing I didn't mention that I wanted to bring up, but this is a great segue to it, Matt, is using AI. So using AI to create or to gather your competitive information is one great resource that we didn't have five years ago that I think really could give you a leg up now. Um, but beyond that, there in every industry there are multiple sources of companies that gather data, have competitive intelligence. So no matter what your industry sector, I would Google resources for X industry or X product, and be able to use that information as well. But I would not overlook AI. I think AI may be a great and quick resource for you to really gather what you'd be looking for.
Jeff, I love that you said that because actually just a couple iterations ago we had Dawn Parks on and she was talking about the power of AI and how you can utilize that for your business. I'm sure it could be very helpful in building a business plan. For anyone that wants to watch that, it is on our socials. We have that on YouTube, so you can watch the full interview just like me and Jeff here. So if you want to go back and think, oh, I do want to learn a little bit more about AI, she gave some really powerful tips. Here's another question from our socials. So, Jeff, what would you say are the most common business plan mistakes?
Wow. Um, well, I would say first of all, it's not completing a business plan. Second would be kind of making short work of it and not putting as much detail into it um, as is really necessary. Third would be creating a plan and not following it. And fourth would be kind of part of the third. If you create a business plan, make sure you have an easy tactic to maintain your ongoing results and to compare it. And then maybe lastly, another mistake is you could put all this work in, all this good work in to build your business plan, and then you don't do iterations of it, update it every single year after that. I see a lot of people who have a great plan, put a lot of time and effort into it, build a great plan coming out of the gate, Matt, but then at the end of their first year, success or otherwise, especially sometimes even when they are successful, they think, okay, well, now I've got this all figured out. I don't need to do another business plan. I don't need to update my business plan. Don't make that mistake.
Yeah, it's funny. I chuckled to myself when you talked about, making a plan and not following it. My career, a lot of my hobbies has been in fitness, and I can't tell you how many clients that we create this amazing workout schedule, amazing fitness plan, nutrition, and then they just don't follow it. And it's like, well, that is a big problem.
Yeah,
That is a
yeah,
major problem. So
yeah.
that was actually a two-part question, Jet. Well, actually a three-part, but I'm trying to give it to you in doses. So the next one is, do you have an example of a business you've worked with that had a particularly strong business plan or something that you can share that is a lesson learned for people that are in that phase of creating a business plan, something that really stood out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say in the home care business, this is non-medical and home care for seniors, the disabled, and veterans. There were several companies that built plans and did not pay attention to or have a recruiting plan component. And in that industry, your assets basically are caregivers. They are
Mm,
employees.
yeah.
And if you don't have a staffing and recruiting plan, you are going to be behind the eight ball quickly. So that would be one example. Another one for you quickly is a business that I helped lead in the past was in the car rental and airport parking industries, and um, understanding turns. Now, this would be turn of inventory in a manufacturing business, but in the car rental world, it was turns of fleet, um, and then also the capacity side of airport parking. So I guess those are examples of kind of the details that if you pay attention to the details, building a business plan, no matter what the sector, it can really pay off.
I love that. Um, Here's another one. So the final phase of that three-part question. How do you know, Jeff, when it's the right time to start a business plan? Like when is it during your phase that you need to think, okay, now's the time for me to start considering a business plan?
Yes, absolutely. I would say when you are 90 to 120 days from your launch date, so you've gone through your due diligence, you've gone through kind of your market analysis, you think you have a very good idea of exactly what you want to do, what product, what service. You think you have everything ready. At that point, that's when I would go heads down and build the business plan. One, you've got a lot of the ingredients that will go into a successful business plan. But two, you're going to probably have some eye-opening items that you'll discover that you need to put into the business plan that you maybe had not thought about. So it's a good reminder at that point.
Okay. Now, we're talking about building a business plan, and you mentioned it's a good idea to iterate on that, every year or whatnot. So when you're building the business plan, what roadmap, how far out should you be extending? Should you stick to only 1 year, or should it be a 3 year, 5 year roadmap ahead?
Yeah, that's a really important point, Matt. So I think the standard I've seen is initially a business plan is a 3-year plan. So you've got, year one, year two, and year three projections. You could go out as far as 5 years. I think by and large, things are changing so fast that probably 5 years might be a little bit long. But the key there is then every year, update your 3-year plan. So after year one, I'm going to add another year to that original plan. I'm also going to go back and look at my original year two and year three. Are those still realistic? Should I tweak those projections based on what I learned from year one?
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm, thinking through if I was to try and, put together a really solid business plan, how much of it should be factually based, where I have evidence, where I've done reports, market analysis, market validation, or how much of it should be just, sentiment analysis or feeling or gut intuition? Do you have any idea about how much that should go into a business plan?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that you cannot have too much of the factual detail there. So, your gut and passion for the business or passion for the industry is very important. Don't get me wrong, but the more factual information, valid findings, data analysis that you can kind of take to the bank, no pun intended, would be well worth it. So the more black and white that business plan can really be, Matt, I think the higher your chances of success.
Okay, nice. I appreciate that. I'm thinking back to my, high school and college days when I had to write papers, and sometimes you would fill in a lot of fluff, we call it. You needed a 3 page paper and you finished a page and a half, and then you add in a bunch of extra words and you find roundabout ways. When you're writing a business plan, is the idea to get it super concise and straightforward, or is there a benefit to having longer business plans that seem very wordy?
Yeah, I'm just chuckling because I've seen business plans that have been, 20, 25 pages. And I would say that's too much. You want to answer your question, I think you want to keep it manageable and concise. So not any fluff, or at least minimal fluff based on what you were saying, Matt. But I think you want to keep it factual, keep it black and white, a
Right.
lot of valid, accurate data. You can, it's okay to inject your projections, your gut, your intuition into it, but I just would not make that the bulk of the plan.
Okay. And when we talk about using resources for factual data and things like that, do you need to cite your references, kind of like a book report, or is that open to interpretation? Do you have any insights about, how you do? Is there a specific format, like MLA format or things like that we use?
Well, yes, I would say definitely cite your sources And if you are in front of a bank or a lender, or a potential partnership, they're absolutely going to want to know what your sources are. So if you don't cite the sources, they're going to ask you and want you to provide those sources. So better to have the sources in there from the very start. That's also going to help you from an exit standpoint, by the way, because when you go to exit to sell your business or whatever your exit plan is, the more valid information you have and findings based on cited sources, it's going to be a
Right.
help to you as well.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate that, Jeff. So, everyone listening at home, wherever you are, if you have any other questions, please put them in, share them right now. Happy to add in those questions because if not, I'll start going through some of the announcements as you're thinking about potential questions. So, really exciting. Registration is open for our fall cohort. That's going to be in October, and you can apply patriotbootcamp.org. All the information you need if you're applying to be an actual applicant. In addition, if you want to be a mentor, which we're always looking for mentors that are successful business founders themselves, entrepreneurs, subject matter experts. The strength of this program relies on the mentors. Also, we have another Caffeine Connect coming up in August 21st with Emil Bryant. The topic of that conversation is going to be Burnout is Not in Order, the Veteran's Guide to Sustainable Pursuit of Success. And wow, what a powerful title, right? I don't see any additional questions coming in. However, if there are questions that you have after the fact, I know Jeff is always open so that if you pay him forward to us, I'll reach out to Jeff, get some of those answers, and I can send them on. We'll make sure to get you a copy of this as well. Jeff had all those really valuable tools and resources, which I know you guys are looking to dig into and take a look. So we'll make sure to get that stuff out to you as well. Please follow us on our socials. We're always sharing really valuable tools, resources, and opportunities on there. And team, thanks for joining us today. Jeff, we really appreciate you coming on here and sharing your knowledge. Let's go build.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Thanks to the DAV and all you do every day. Thank you for your service.
Rock on.